So, is it really possible to take a swab of my dog Arlo's cheek here, mail it off, and find out how long he's gonna live? Well, if you haven't been paying attention to recent developments in dog DNA testing, you might just be surprised. What? Are you kidding me? And guys, as if that wasn't cool enough, this little DNA health test kit here uncovered a mystery about Arlo that I had no idea about. My breeder can't explain it, my veterinarian's own DNA test completely missed it, and it sure shed a light on some things I had no idea about what's going on with him. But I'm so glad I tested him with this, and I think this is the best route to go for Doberman owners. So let's jump into this video. I'll show you exactly how I did it, if Arlo will stop stealing the spotlight here, and let's get into it. Real quick before we start, guys, YouTube does ask that I tell you a little bit about my relationship with Embark, since I am talking about their product a lot in this video. First of all, no, Embark is not paying me to make this video. They don't even know I'm making it. And also they did not give me any kind of free DNA test kit or anything to make this video. I wish they had, but they didn't. And also I talk a lot about this guide I made that's on my screen right here. It's a resource, a free one specifically for you Doberman owners out there. That is a guide that I researched and wrote 100% on my own. Embark had nothing to do with it. They're not involved with it in any way. And I also do not represent Embark in any way. However, if you do use any of the links down below in the description of this video and you check out some of their DNA test kits and you decide to purchase one, I will get a small credit for it in the form of a small commission, which of course I totally appreciate, and it allows me to continue making this free content for you guys and to keep helping you out with your Dobermans, which of course is something I absolutely love doing. So there you go. Thanks for bearing with me on that. I have a lot of really cool things involving Arlo to fill you in on with this video. So after the last, I don't even know how many days of research, I finally settled on what I think is the absolute best health testing kit, DNA kit for Doberman owners specifically. It's this specific Embark kit. It's the blue box, and if you're looking at the right one, it should also say breeding health in the corner. I'll link to the specific kit that I'm talking about down in the description below. But the reason why I believe, after all my research, that this is the best kit for Doberman owners specifically is it tests for all the common disorders and diseases that can affect our breed and really give us a good idea, not just what's going on currently with our dog, kind of beneath the surface, but what might be coming down the road for your Doberman years down the road potentially. So the other thing it has, which I was really excited about, is something called the coefficient of inbreeding result. This number has been proven to be linked to the longevity of our dog. So yes, we can kind of get a general idea on what the longevity of our Dobermans might be. This is super fascinating information to have about your dog. So I ordered this kit. It's supposed to be super simple. It showed right up at my door in 2 days. You just got to activate it online. You swab the dog's cheek and you send it back in a prepaid envelope. So let's go do that right now on my puppy Arlo. Here's the kit exactly as I got it in the mail. And on the outside of this box is your activation code right there. And let's open it up and take a look. All right, inside pretty simple. It's laid out to make it easy. Step 1, activate it online. We'll do that in a second. Step 2, swab your dog's cheek. And step 3, send it back. And it comes with a little cheek swab. And we'll do that on my dog Arlo here in a minute. And here's your activation code right here. And then a prepaid envelope. You just stick it in the envelope, send it back. So let's head over to the computer and let's do step 1. Let's get it activated. Okay, I jumped online. The first step says to go to embarkvet.com/activate. I'm gonna go there. So I'm gonna go down here to sign up. All right, we just put a full name, email, made a password, hit I accept, and sign up. What do you want to call your dog? My dog's name is Arlo. He's a male. Hit continue. So we're going to complete our profile here. Okay, hit continue. Right here is where you click if you want to add another dog, but we're just doing Arlo. So I'm going to hit yes, we're done. Which dog would you like to activate the kit for? We'll hit Arlo, continue. Enter in our activation code. It's printed on the box and inside on the swab. Hit continue. Once I enter that, kit activation is complete. All right, here we go. Arlo's kit is activated. All right, I got Arlo here. He hasn't had anything to eat for about 30 minutes and nothing to drink for at least 10 minutes as per the instructions in the kit. He just woke up from a nap, so he hasn't had anything for a lot longer than that. So it might be beneficial to have somebody help you hold the dog while you do this. It's a lot easier with two people. I'm just gonna do it by myself, so it's gonna be a little bit different. But this is the swab you need. You just open it up, you put it just inside the cheek, down low, kind of where the saliva tends to pool up, kind of down between the gums and the cheek, and just swish it around in there. You can roll it around a little bit for between 30 seconds to a minute. So let's do that now. Good boy, good boy. Okay, Arlo's actually used to hanging out with me like this sometimes, so he's very comfortable. So let's open up our swab here. And make sure you don't touch it to anything else besides the dog's saliva. You don't want to get it contaminated with anything else. So, all right, buddy. And try not to let him chew on it either. That should be good. Then we remove it from the top here. Just unscrew it, invert it straight into the tube. Screw it back down, nice and tight, and shake it at least 10 times. And there you go. You got your sample. Good boy. Okay, so we got our DNA sample right here. Step 3 says pull tab here, and this is to send it off. And there you go. You just put a return address right there and go drop this in your mailbox. Real quick, guys, while we're waiting for the results, I want to run over what this health testing kit will actually tell us about our Dobermans. First, it includes that, of course, that COI number, which I told you about, which can give us insight and longevity of our dogs, but it'll also test for over 170 other health conditions and disorders. And specifically, the ones it does test for, which we care about as Doberman owners, is the DCM1 and the DCM2 tests. It has both of them. And if you haven't heard of DCM, it's dilated cardiomyopathy. It's a major concern in the Doberman world right now. Up to 58% of Dobermans will be affected by it at some point in their life. It's a major killer. It'll test for that. It'll test for degenerative myelopathy, which is a spinal cord issue that can cause paralysis and lameness in the dog. Retinal atrophy, which can lead to the dog going blind. That's also common in Dobermans, and this will test for it. Von Willebrand's disease, or VWD. It's a blood clotting disorder that's very common in Dobermans. This covers that as well, and a whole lot of other tests. This kit's also going to tell you some other really cool things, like if your dog has some genetic sensitivities to certain drugs that your vet might use, it could tell you that. It'll also tell you the color genetics of your dog, which is really interesting because then you'll know if your dog is capable of producing fawn colored puppies or blue colored puppies, the diluted colors, or red puppies, or what kind of dogs your dog can produce. It'll also check for the mutation that's required to make white colored Dobermans or Z-factor Dobermans as well. And as if that wasn't cool enough, it also includes two really interesting things, the breed ID and the relative finder. Now, breed ID is really cool, especially for you people who may have gotten a rescue Doberman. If you have absolutely any doubt whatsoever that maybe there was any kind of other influence besides pure Doberman in your dog's past, this kit will tell you, and it'll tell you what the other breed was going back 3 generations, which is like 14 dogs of genetic influence in your dog's past. So if there's anything else besides Doberman, it's going to point that out for you. And the relative finder is really cool. It'll tell you if any other dogs tested by Embark are a close genetic match to your dog, which may be a sibling of yours, it may be a parent or a cousin or grandparent of yours, and it'll allow you to message the owner of that dog, and you could talk about your dogs, where you got them, what they're like, and even set up play dates. This is the most all-inclusive kit that I think is hands down the best for us Doberman owners. And yes, I would stake my 2 days of headache and research on that statement. And guys, to make reading these results super straightforward for us Doberman owners, I made a free guide for you. If you just go to dobermanplanet.com/DNA, you'll go straight to that guide. There, I broke down exactly all the potential results for the conditions that we care about as Doberman owners, including what like the color genetic results might be and what that exactly means in plain English, which dogs your dog can produce, line by line to make it super straightforward for you. So you should get your results, check my free guide, dobermanplanet.com/DNA, and it'll interpret it in plain English for you. Again, dobermanplanet.com/DNA. The link will also be in the description. So, all right, now that the kit has been sent off, we just wait for our email or a text message to let us know the results are ready. So the email's here, the results are in. Let's go take a look. So here's the email, let me know that it's ready. I'm gonna click right here to see his results. I've already looked at these results, guys, so I know what's coming, but let me show you, and I'll kind of explain these. You click on health. Under health, it has a health summary right here, and this is pretty interesting. But if you go down to breed relevant conditions, you click there, and I'll show you kind of the most important test results for the Doberman breed that Embark thinks is the most important. There are a few others that are also important. And if you go over to my guide here, dobermanplanet.com/DNA, it'll tell you which results are very important. And this will interpret the results for you from a Doberman standpoint and tell you what it means in plain English and what the implications are for Dobermans. So this is really good to cross-reference while you're looking at your results. So let's click on the first one, obviously. There's a little red tick here, dilated cardiomyopathy, DCM1. This is unbelievable, guys. Check this. This is unbelievable. Arlo's inherited both copies of the variant we tested. Arlo's at increased risk for DCM1. So he has 2 copies of the DCM1 gene mutation. Let's go over to the guide, which I told you about here, and go look at the DCM1 test under interpreting results. Click there. It'll bring you right down to my section here in this guide, all about that. It tells you every possible combination of results you could get from that test and what it means in plain English, and any relevant studies and other information that I have on that I will put below it, which is actually very interesting to check out, because here's an example of why it's good to look at this section here. I show you a couple studies that came out with the Dobermans. One that showed that having 2 copies of this mutation in American Doberman pinschers produced a 7 times higher likelihood of developing DCM at some point in their lifetime. That's a 7-fold increase. And here's a source to the study so you can take a look. And then I showed another study that came out that showed that European Dobermans did not have any increased risk of developing DCM, even with a result of 2 copies, which may be my saving grace here. But here is the source of that study. So that was a pretty interesting insight. So depending on the results, depending on what they are, don't freak out too much. Go over to my guide that I have for you and take a look on interpreting results, because it'll give you a lot of information on what it means. This is unbelievable, the fact that he has 2 copies, and it opened up a huge mystery for me. I'll tell you more about it in a minute here. Von Willebrand's disease, variant not detected, so he's clear, clear, clear. So those ones are all clear. Now, if you go down a little bit further, now here's all his health conditions that he's tested for. We won't look at those. Those are all clear. But my guide will tell you which ones to pay attention to there. Inbreeding and diversity. This is the coefficient of inbreeding number, the COI number I talked about. Super interesting. If you click see report, now it tells you a little bit about what this is. And here is Arlo's results right here. He is at 48%. Now what this is that gray line is how inbred normal or all other purebred breeds typically are. Purebreds are always inbred to some degree. But look at the Doberman Pinscher. The Doberman Pinscher in general is the yellow line. The Doberman Pinscher is on average more inbred than your typical breed of dog. And look at Arlo here. He's at 48%. So he's a little bit above average as far as his inbreeding. And now if you go over back to my guide, click on coefficient of inbreeding right here, it'll bring you down. And again, it'll show Arlo's results here. But I'll talk about how I extrapolated those results to give me a far from perfect idea on what his lifespan could be. It's far from perfect, but this number has been shown to be linked to the longevity of our dogs. So, you know, even just to get a murky look on what the potential lifespan is of our Dobermans is absolutely amazing to me. And this will kind of talk about that too. So going back to his results here, let's go back screen. Under breed tab right here, you'll see he's 100% Doberman Pinscher. If there's anything unusual, it'll be under family tree. And you'll see all the dogs going back 3 generations that made up your dog, including what breeds they were, his grandparents, great-grandparents, and so on. So if you have a rescue or something else and you're not sure if they're full Doberman Pinscher, this is where you look. You might see one dog way down here that's a different breed. This is how you tell. Now, if you go to the traits tab here, you'll see a lot of other really interesting things about all the different traits your dog has based on their DNA. It's really confusing, but if you go back over to my guide, it'll help you out and tell you exactly which one of these to look at. I would just go down this interpreting results list and you'll hit all the major ones that you should pay attention to for Dobermans, like the brown locus, the dilute locus, the albinism, or the OCA type 2. When you click on those, it'll tell you exactly where to go to find it. So let's show you the base coat color. We'll hit see details. And as you're going down the result, my guide will tell you to check out this result here and this result here. He has a large B, small b, and a large D and small d, the dominant and recessive. You go back over here under decoding your dog's color genetics. We'll click there. It'll tell you exactly what that means. So here's Arlo here. Remember, he had a BB and a DD with a one big and one small of each. This says this is a black dog, which Arlo is, that can produce both red colored offspring and diluted colored offspring, which is really interesting, which means that Arlo can produce fawn and blue and red colored Dobermans. If you go back down here under the OCA type 2, we'll click on the see details under other coat traits. Here's the result here. His genetic result is a capital N and capital N. This says some generic stuff, likely not albino, but if you go back to my guide here, go to that result, it'll tell you what the possible results are. Remember, this is Arlo right here. This means a dog is not affected by this mutation, cannot pass it on to their offspring. So he is not a Z-factor Doberman, which means he's not an albino, or a white Doberman, and he cannot create white or albino Dobermans, whatever you choose to call them, which is really interesting to know that he's not capable of producing them. So those are Arlo's results. When you get results, just go down the interpreting the results line by line and check each one of these, because they're not all in the summary that Embark gives you. And this will give you a complete picture on your Doberman's health and all the insight that is really interesting to us Doberman owners. So guys, there is a huge mystery here with Arlo. He has 2 copies of that DCM1 gene, and that is just unbelievable, because I have health results for both his dad and his mom. And let me tell you what those are. The dad is clear of DCM1. He has no copies of the gene mutation. The mother has 1 copy. She's a carrier. So here's the mystery. You breed a dog that has no copies of the DCM1 mutation with a dog that has 1 copy, and it's genetically impossible to produce a puppy that has 2 copies of this mutation, which Arlo does have. So there's something crazy going on here. I have a very reputable breeder I worked with Arlo, of course. I practice what I preach. He's been doing this for a long time. He does have more than 1 Doberman male on site. He has a couple of them. I called him up and told him what happened. His mind was blown. He's now doing genetic testing on all of his dogs to get the lineage of them and how they're related, to figure out exactly what's going on here, because yeah, it's genetically impossible for Arlo to have 2 copies of this if that is his true mother and father. So this just goes to show, no matter how careful you are in selecting a super reputable breeder, in getting the pedigree, getting all the health tests, getting the family tree, which I have for Arlo, I have all that stuff, you still don't know. I mean, it takes a Doberman jumping a fence and mating with a dog with the breeder not knowing it, or something happening like that, and something weird can happen. So this is just unbelievable to me. I'm still tracking down to figure out exactly what happened. I'll try and update you guys when I find out what happened. But this is why you need to DNA health test your dogs yourself, because you just don't know. And here's the other thing. My vet did his own DNA test on Arlo when I first got him, and that DNA test said he was completely clear from DCM. And why did that conflict with the Embark result? Well, I had to eventually call up their geneticist and talk to them on the phone to figure this out. But in the end, it said this nowhere on my vet's testing literature or on the website for the company that my vet used. But the DCM test that my vet used tested for DCM in schnauzers, which was, of course, he's clear of. He's not a schnauzer. So I thought he was DCM clear from that test, and I was just blown away when Embark said something different. Just goes to show your dog could have been DNA tested before. Your dog could be from a reputable breeder. You could know the parents, you could have pedigree, everything, and something strange still come up. And this is why you got to take it in your own hands and test your own dog. Now, honestly, guys, whether or not you use this health test kit or not, just get your dog DNA tested. There's so many disorders and diseases affecting the Doberman breed right now that the least we can do is test our dogs so we kind of have an idea of what may be coming down the pipe. The last thing you want to do is just watch those years tick by and wondering what's going to happen. So the only thing I'm going to urge you to do at the end of this video is to go down in the description down below. I have a link to this exact kit that I used on Arlo here, which is perfect for any Doberman. You can check that out, but also there's a link to my Doberman specific guide for DNA health testing that really can help you get the most out of it. If you want to go directly to that guide, you can just type in dobermanplanet.com/DNA into your browser. It'll take you right there. Again, dobermanplanet.com/DNA. Thank you guys so much for watching. And of course, I'll see you next week.